Hi guys, it's Stock Curry, and in today's video I'm giving you my top 15 long-term hold stocks. I'm combining growth stocks with dividend stocks to find the top 15 long-term hold stocks overall. So let's get into it! Okay, so to determine the top 15 stocks overall, I had to look at both growth as well as dividends. And here's why. Let's say you have the option of buying two different stocks. Stock A goes up by 10% per year and does not pay a dividend, and stock B does not go up at all. It just stays perfectly flat and it pays a 10% dividend. Which of those two stocks is the better long-term buy? The stock that goes up by 10% per year with no dividend, or the stock that stays flat and has a 10% dividend yield? Well, the answer is they're both the same. Either one, no matter which one you invest in, will actually net you the exact same amount of money after 10 years. And so when I'm looking at these, I've got to consider both the growth potential of the stock as well as the dividend yield. And so what I did is I just took the overall growth, I took the dividend yield, and I combined them together to give me a net growth on that particular stock. Now, that gives me my net portfolio growth, but the other thing that we have to look at is how is the stock currently valued? Because a lot of these stocks that are expected to grow up and have a tremendous growth are already really expensive with very high PE ratios, and that kind of makes sense. It just means that the growth is already built in. And so I had to consider that as well, because the more growth that's built in, the lower the chance that it's going to do well in the portfolio over the long term. And so what I did is I took a flatline PE ratio of 20. As I said, 20 will be the benchmark of where a normal price should be at. Anything that was priced lower than 20, I bumped up the overall portfolio growth. Anything that was priced above 20, I reduced the overall portfolio growth, just based upon the current trading price. And altogether, that gave me a net number that I'm going to use to rank my top 15 stocks. Now, the reason I'm putting this whole video together is actually because of Larry Jones. Stock Up with Larry Jones put out a video, and I'll put a link to his video in the description of this one. You guys can go check it out. And he was asking YouTubers, well, specifically me, what my top 4 long-term hold stocks are. And when I went through and looked at all of them, I mean, I've covered over 400 stocks in this channel in the last 6 months. And when I tried to find my top 4 long-term growth stocks, I ended up with 15. Oops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my top 15 long-term hold stocks, and I'm going to order them from the least likely to grow to the highest potential for profits in your portfolio over the next 10 years. And so we're going to start with number 15. We're going to work our way up. So to answer Larry Jones' question, what are the top 4? Well, it'll be the last 4 stocks that I mentioned today. Now, the other thing that Larry Jones said is, what long-term stocks would you buy if you could get them at a 10% discount? Now, here's why that 10% discount is so important. Is because most analysts expect that we are going to have a stock market correction at some point in September or October. And so if we do get a stock market correction, that means that stocks are going to go down by 10 to 15% over the next 1 to 2 months. And once those stocks go down by 10 to 15%, that means that a lot of these long-term growth stocks that we're going to talk about today in this video are actually going to be on sale for 10 to 15% off. And so this is going to be an incredible opportunity over the next month or two to buy a lot of these long-term stocks for your long-term portfolio at huge discounts. So I really appreciate Larry Jones for asking that question. And this video is my response to him. So let's get into my top 15 long-term hold stocks. Now, for those of you who are new to this channel and aren't familiar with who I am, my name is Stock Curry. I used to work as an analyst for some large investment banks, and now I analyze stocks on YouTube. Now, all I ask for putting this video together for you guys is that you hit that like button, subscribe, and follow the page so that you can get notified when I release my next video. In fact, I'll give you 5 seconds to do that right now. All right, before we get into our top 15 long-term hold stocks, I want to remind you that I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing I talk about today is a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold. These are just my opinions, which may or may not be accurate. Please do your own research before investing in any assets. Also, if you're wondering what you're looking at right now, this is the Webull desktop app. Webull is the app that I use for my trading, and it is also the app that I use in all of my videos. If you'd like to get 2 free stocks worth up to $2,300, you can sign up for Webull using my link in the description below. When you sign up using my link in the description below and deposit just $100, Webull is going to send you 2 free stocks worth up to $2,300. Now, because we're looking at long-term hold stocks that we can buy and just ignore for the next 10 years, I eliminated some stocks that I considered to be a little bit too risky. That includes stocks that do not have 4 years worth of data, since newer stocks tend to be riskier. And I also eliminated stocks that do not have a net revenue growth over the last 4 years, since those are also, in my mind, too risky to just ignore for the next 10 years. So with that in mind, let's get into my top 15 long-term hold stocks. And number 15 on the list is BAC. This is Bank of America. BAC has a PE ratio of 12.74 and a really nice dividend yield of 2.02%. The average annual revenue growth is only 0.64% though. So BAC is really a value play and more so a dividend play. And next up is AAPL. This is Apple. AAPL has a little bit of a higher dividend ratio at 28.11 and the dividend yield is only 0.56%. But AAPL also has decent revenue growth at 6.41% year-over-year revenue growth on average. So AAPL is a little bit of a growth stock and a little bit of a dividend stock, but it doesn't really shine in any one area. AAPL could see incredible revenue growth in the future though, since they are getting into EVs. And next up is CAT. This is Caterpillar. CAT has a forward PE ratio of 20.55 and a dividend yield of 2.12%. Now they've been losing money over the last 2 years, but they still managed a 3.57% overall revenue growth year over year. So CAT is really a dividend play. And it ranks number 13 on my list. And now number 12 on my list of the top 15 long-term hold stocks is SQ. This is Square. SQ has no dividend at all and a very high PE ratio of 139. Where SQ shines though is in their revenue growth. They're averaging a revenue growth of 55.74% per year. So this is a massive growth stock and that's why it ranks number 12 on my list of the top 15 long-term hold stocks. And number 11 is DE. This is Deere. DE has a decent PE ratio of 19.72 and a dividend yield of 1.13%. They also have decent revenue growth, averaging 8.22% per year. So DE is a little bit of a growth stock and a little bit of a dividend stock, and overall it ranks number 11 on my list. Next up is TSLA. This is Tesla. TSLA has no dividend and they have the highest PE ratio of every stock on this list at 142. TSLA also has the highest growth of any stock on this list with an average of 64% per year. TSLA is a massive growth stock and ranks number 10 on my list of the top 15 long-term hold stocks. Next up is AMZN. This is Amazon. AMZN has no dividend and a forward PE ratio of 66. That forward PE ratio is offset by an average annual revenue growth of 29.95%. So AMZN is another great growth stock and ranks higher than Tesla due to its lower valuation. AMZN comes in at number 9 on my list. And next up at number 8 is NVDA. This is NVDA. NVDA has a little tiny dividend yield of 0.07%. They also have a forward PE ratio of 54.89. NVDA also has excellent revenue growth. They are averaging 26.78% per year. So NVDA is another great long-term hold growth stock. And number 7 on the list is AMD. This is Advanced Micro Devices, better known as AMD. AMD is another growth stock that has no dividend and a forward PE ratio of 43.89. AMD has been growing on average by 23.81% per year. Because of the lower valuation, it ranks the highest of all of the growth stocks that we just covered. AMD comes in at number 7 on my list. And number 6 on my list of the top 15 long-term hold stocks is C. This is Citigroup. A lot of banking stocks ranked higher on the list due to the low valuations they currently hold. C has a forward PE ratio of only 7.2, and they have a very high dividend yield of 2.86%. C has slow growth at 1.22% per year. So C is both a value stock as well as a dividend stock. And number 5 on my list of the top 15 long-term hold stocks is another banking stock, and it's MS. This is Morgan Stanley. MS has a massive dividend yield at 2.67% and a forward PE ratio of 14.37. MS does have better growth than Citigroup, though, at an average annual growth rate of 8.49%. So MS is first and foremost a dividend stock and also a growth stock. And now getting into the top 4 that Larry Jones asked about, number 4 on my list is VWAGY. This is Volkswagen. VWAGY has a forward PE ratio of 7.57 and a 1.66% dividend yield. They have an average annual revenue growth of 4.84%. A lot of people think VWAGY is going to be the largest EV manufacturer in the world in the next few years. VWAGY is mostly a value play, but also a little bit of a dividend play. Overall, it ranks number 4 in my list of the top 15 long-term hold stocks. And number 3 on my list is VALE. This is VALE. VALE has a forward PE ratio of 17.43 and a massive 8.61% dividend yield. VALE also has decent revenue growth at an average 8.45%. So VALE is mostly a dividend play and also a growth play. Now, the one thing to keep in mind about the dividend of VALE is that it's not consistent. They pay out, on average, 1 dividend per year, but it's random. However, over the last few years, their dividend has been massive each year. And number 2 on my list of the top 15 long-term hold stocks is GS. This is Goldman Sachs. GS has a forward PE ratio of 7.78 and a dividend yield of 1.94%. The reason GS ranks higher than the other banking stocks I've mentioned is because they have by far the best growth. GS is averaging 10.63% year-over-year revenue growth. So GS is a stock that has it all. It's a value stock, it's a growth stock, and it's a dividend stock. And now for number 1, by far the best of the top 15 long-term hold stocks is CLF. This is Cleveland Cliffs. CLF has a measly 4.0 PE ratio. Now, they don't pay a dividend, but check out their growth. CLF has been growing on average 49.85% per year. That's almost as high as Tesla, and yet their PE ratio is only 4. So CLF is a great growth stock, but it's also a massive, by far the best value stock on this list. And it is for those reasons that CLF ranks number 1 on my list of the top 15 long-term hold stocks. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video and get a lot out of it. Comment down below what your favorite long-term hold stock is. And if you're looking for a broker to buy these stocks on, you can sign up for Webull using my link in the description below. When you sign up for Webull using my link in the description below and deposit just $100, Webull's going to send you 2 free stocks worth up to $2,300. What a great way to kickstart your portfolio. Now, if you're not a US resident, or if you're looking to trade OTC penny stocks, or maybe you just don't like payment for order flow, then I recommend Interactive Brokers. Interactive Brokers is a great trading platform. They have highly discounted trading throughout the world. And both Webull and Interactive Brokers both give you the full pre-market and after-hours trading from 4 a.m. until 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, I do have material connections with both of those, so whenever you sign up for either broker, not only are you getting a great broker to trade with, you're also helping me to continue to produce these great videos for you. Now, finally, I just want to remind you to hit that like button, subscribe, and follow the page if you haven't already. I hope you have a lot of success trading, and I will see you tomorrow.